Ready to take your favorite WagerTalk handicappers wherever you travel this football season? The WagerTalk TV app is now live for phones, tablets, smart TVs, and streaming platforms. Tune into your favorite shows like WagerTalk Today, Bet on It, and the Opening Line Report. Plus, browse through our extensive library of sports betting tips. Create your personal playlist of betting tip videos to help you prepare for the upcoming season, and set notifications to alert you when new content is added. Download the app for Apple, Android, Amazon, and Roku devices by searching for WagerTalk TV, or scan the QR code on your screen to join the winning conversation today.
Hey guys, welcome in on a happy Friday to you now, January the 20th, 2023. Loaded weekend in college hoops. That is for sure, not to mention, of course, divisional round here in the NFL playoffs, NBA action, NHL. And before we know it, pitchers and catchers will be reporting in my neck of the woods soon enough. So great time of year right now, and a small card tonight in college hoops, but some intriguing matchups nonetheless. We're going to break them down for you, and we're going to do it with three of just two of the finest. Didn't see Bryan Power. Two of the finest gentlemen here, as there he is, Adam Trigger, fresh off from collecting a whole lot of frequent flyer miles. Steve Merrill, 2 R's, 1 L, and yes, Bryan Power back in the house over there. Still has the dead plant behind him, but we won't let that bother us over there. It's wait,
hold on.
What?
We need to maybe we're gonna have to call New York here, or VAR perhaps, soccer reference. Because after the NBA show yesterday, I consulted Mrs. Power and I said, honey, they are killing me on these programs with this dead plant. We got to get this thing out of here. And she said, what dead plant? That plant is fine.
Yeah.
We tell them that plant's alive. So apparently it's alive. We've had a little bit of a repositioning of the plant here today. And there we go.
Alive. Oh, it is alive.
Oh,
yes,
God.
we've had a
There
repositioning. All right. Absolutely.
Hey,
but I'm glad to see.
Look, I'll just say this. If there's going to be one best bet on the program today, it is that you can rest assured, alive or dead, I have never watered that damn plant.
Hey, listen, it looks good. I'm glad you brought some help in, though, because it was looking like a fire hazard back there. I'm just saying. So we're good to go, though, with the plant. And Adam Trigger, what's going on, man? Around the world you go. How many courts were you at this week? I know you tried to get to K-State, but Mother Nature was not happy there. So we laid 2.5 when you went to Mizzou, and you needed every ounce of it. So how was the trip, man? What's going on?
The trip was great. Obviously, I ran into some weather getting out of Syracuse. Didn't end up getting there in time to go to the Kansas State game. Not a big deal. It was only like the best game of the year. All good. But I did get to go to Michigan. So I ended up going to Missouri, Arkansas on Wednesday with Kelly and one of our other friends. That was fun. And on the way home, I basically got delayed again. So I moved my flight this morning and took an hour Uber out to Lansing to go to Michigan State Rutgers last night. Stayed over, came back. I wasn't supposed to be on the show today, so I just got back from flying, got my hat on, still in my Michigan State sweatshirt, which I did not wear at the game because I bet Rutgers. So I was like, felt like I couldn't wear it at the game. That took a loss there. Rutgers, guys, last night outplayed Michigan State, in my opinion, but I think they were 1 for 17 from 3. I could see the lid on the basket from where I was sitting, Joe. But otherwise, it was great. I literally just walked in 20 minutes ago. But I'm ready to talk some college hoop.
All right, he's ready to roll. Very well traveled, seasoned, and he's got some information for us here that he'll pass along when we break down a couple of these games. And Merrill, what's going on, my man? I know you got some stuff rolling here. NBA, college hoops, and of course NFL ready to roll on your page at WagerTalk.com. What else is happening?
Yeah, I'm just sitting back and enjoying this panel today. Man, this is going to be fun. fun. But talk about that plant behind Bryan Power being a fire hazard. I'll tell you what's a fire hazard, Joe Ranieri. It's my best bets this week. 10-1. Swept the board again last night. 3-0 sweep Wednesday. 3-0 sweep last night on Thursday. I'm not going to chance it. We've got one best bet tonight. It's a small card, an NBA best bet, but I do have 2 advanced NFL best bets for Saturday. So could have another 3-0 sweep if you go get all 3 plays right now. But yeah, 10-1, 91%. Free play won last night as well. Hitting on all cylinders, and it's not a coincidence. You guys know this is the time of the year to be playing college and pro basketball. We are locked in. Some serious money to be made, and we're proving it this week. By the way, NFL Fade the Public video got it up nice and early last night on Thursday. That's available right now on WagerTalk TV. And also we'll have a college basketball top 25 video later this evening for the Saturday games. But once again, red hot. 3 best bets available once again. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Man, it's scorching is what's going on here. Well, we're going to keep it. You want to know what else is scorching? Both New Mexico and what? Oh, here's scorching. There you go. Yeah.
Oh my God! Wow.
There, that's how is that, huh? You're
not going to get that Bad Boys or something?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. The official Bad Boys. They're scorching as well here. As we head out to New Mexico, let's check it out here. We've got Boise.
I might change my Twitter picture to that. That's
great. That is fantastic.
I might have to check it out here.
I don't know if I can't remember if I'm Will Smith or Martin Lawrence there, but I'd kill to be in as good a shape as either of them right now.
At that point, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter anymore. Boise State taking on New Mexico here, gentlemen. Good one here tonight. New Mexico opened up at 2, was bet up to 3, which is where we are now. A lot of people think maybe New Mexico a little bit of a surprise this year. I mean, they were 130s before the season started. Now they're hovering top 50. So Boise State having a great year, and both of these teams, well, they got aspirations, but one of them is going to be a winner tonight. One is not. The question is, which one is which here, Bryan Power, tonight? Are you a believer in either of these 2 teams?
Well, Joe, you talk about New Mexico being a surprise. I wonder how many people have already forgotten that the Lobos were the last remaining unbeaten team in the country. Yeah. They were 14-0 they got up to. Only team in the country without a loss. They lose 2 straight. They bounced back, I believe, won 3 in a row now. Yes, 3 in a row, and covered the spread in all of them. On the other side, you got Boise State. You got to respect them. They're 6-0-1. That one push against Nevada as a dog this year. 6-1 straight up as well. Going back 3 seasons, 17-4 against the number when catching points. But a running theme for me on today's program is going to be selling high, buying low, doing one of the 2, and sometimes both. And Boise State, you look at the last few games, look, they've handled their business, but I think some regression is in order, particularly when it comes to 3-point shooting. In conference play this year, this team is shooting 43% from behind the arc. Call me crazy, gang, but I just don't think that can continue. In the last 5 games, they're even higher than that. They're above 44% from 3. So New Mexico, we had some talk off air about home court advantage, just how much is it worth in some of these games. Well, in the pit in Albuquerque, it's worth a lot. New Mexico, I was shocked they lost at home to UNLV. That was a game I had on the second TV at the time that night. And they jumped out early. And the next thing I knew, they were losing it and lost the game. But I think they get the W tonight. A win in Albuquerque for the home team. Lay the points with the Lobos.
All right, Lobos, it is here tonight. And Trig, we were talking before the show. You mentioned about how maybe some of these places we're giving a little too much credit to the whole home court thing with students and not. I'm gonna guess the Pit is not one of these that you would brush to the side here. Something tells me this is a distinct home court advantage here tonight for New Mexico.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we talked off air. One of the things I've learned this year, hitting so many different venues at different times in the year, is how home court advantage is just not equal. And I think that it's even understated when we say that at times, because I mean it really, it just used to be, oh, you throw a couple points for home court, and that's really just not how you should be looking at that, because there's drastic differences between some of the advantages certain teams have playing at home. Now, I've never been to the Pit, but we have Wager Talk listeners that have. They've reached out to me. They've asked me when I'm coming to Albuquerque. I told them I would get out at some point. If it's not this year, it'll be next year. But the point they made to me, which I thought was interesting, was, oh, you got to come out because they're good right now. Like when New Mexico is good, they show up, and it's like you you can't get a ticket. And I think that is something that needs to be stated here, because New Mexico, like Bryan said, they were 14-0. Like, there's a lot of excitement around the Lobos this year that hasn't really been there in past years leading up to this year. As Bryan mentioned, they kind of came out of nowhere to be this good. And people out there are back in on New Mexico basketball. Not to mention they had the COVID stretch where it was really, like, you couldn't even attend a game, couldn't even play a game that one year in the state of New Mexico. So I think the fan base is hungry again, and that would, for me, I'm going to instantly give New Mexico as big of a bump for playing at home that I'm going to give anyone, basically. Boise State is a team, I backed them earlier this week. They got a nice cover. They're a team I like quite a bit. I actually don't think this matchup is horrible for them. I don't think playing fast and at the pace that New Mexico is going to want to play is bad for Boise here. But I do kind of agree with Bryan. Can we sell high a little bit? Is this a spot where they kind of come out and get smoked? Because they really have played well over the last couple games. I like Boise as a team, and I don't think it's a horrible matchup, which is why it didn't make my card. But I certainly lean toward the New Mexico side. I've seen it in person a couple times this week. That home court advantage can be a thing, and when it takes over, it can propel a team to the win. A win. Numbers probably right, but New Mexico, I wouldn't argue with someone on New Mexico here.
All right, New Mexico, vote of confidence here. Short number there, Merrill. Are you willing to lay it here with them tonight?
Yeah, we're talking about New Mexico having a solid season. They're only 46 in the Ken Palm. Boise State is 24th. So I mean, Boise State is the better team here. New Mexico is the better offensive team, 44th offenses versus 91, where Boise has a substantial edge tonight defensively. They're the 11th best defense in the country efficiency-wise. They played a very modest pace, about dead average. So I do think New Mexico will play fast tonight at home. They're one of the fastest teams in the country. And that's where home courts also can make a difference, because home teams in general can dictate the tempo. When you get your crowd behind you, you do play faster. So I think the over could be worth a look for that reason. But one thing I'll point out about New Mexico, and Ralph Michaels and I talked about this earlier on the Wager Talk Today show, is that altitude is something I'd love to use in college hoops. And Albuquerque is altitude. You don't think of New Mexico, it's desert. You don't think of it as being altitude, but there is altitude in Mexico. Boise, of course, has altitude as well. So it's going to be a non-factor here. And I bring that up because Boise's been pretty good on the road. In fact, they just played at Wyoming, another altitude school, a week ago, and they won that game by 17 as a 3.5-point favorite. Also won at UNLV by 18 the game before as a 1.5-point dog. So they've been really good on the road recently, and I think they're probably the better team here catching points. So I'd lean underdog and over.
All right, underdog and over in this matchup here tonight. Should be a really good one. We do have actually a couple of pretty intriguing matchups here tonight. We'll head over to, I believe it's the Johnnies tonight, taking on Villanova, who's just going the wrong way, Nova. My goodness, what is going on? Jay Wright ain't walking through that damn door. -4 here for the Johnnies here tonight. 150.5 is the total. Meanwhile, St. John's just opened up a can of whoop ass on UConn, and now everything is right in the world, or is it? They are at home here. What are you thinking, Merrill? Is this a game you want to get involved in with the Johnnies?
Yeah, we joked last week. Remember when Dave Koken was on? He got a chuckle. Whenever you get Dave Koken to chuckle, you know it's a good one. And I said that, you said Jay Wright wasn't walking through that door, and then I said Brad Stevens wasn't walking through the door for Butler in that game either.
That's correct.
But we did talk about the huge drop off for Villanova this season, and we'll look at last year's numbers. This Villanova team was obviously very good last season. Hasn't been the case here. They finished 10th last year in the Ken Pom. They were a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament last year, going 30-8 overall. 9th best offense, and they were 23rd on defense, played at the 347th slowest tempo. Fast forward to this year, they're playing at 327, so pretty darn slow. 30th on offense, not bad, but 159 on defense. And I do think that's where not having Jay Wright defense, coaches can get teams to play defense. And when the players aren't focused, they don't play defense. And that's been the problem for Villanova. Whether they'll start playing on the defensive side of the ball anytime soon is your guess as well as mine. And St. John's is not the best team to be playing if you're not playing defense, because one thing St. John's likes to do is play fast. Normally this is a situation and we get a really slow half-court team in Villanova against a team I think is going to want to play up-tempo in St. John's. And normally I love to play the slow-down team. St. John's, by the way, the second fastest team in the country out of 363. Villanova, as I mentioned, in the 320 range. But I'm just not sure this Villanova team plays enough defense to slow St. John's down tonight. So I'm going to pass on this game. Normally, I'd be all over a slow-down team like Villanova against a really fast team like St. John's. Just not sure that matchup's going to work as well this year as it would have last year.
All right. Well, it's an intriguing one, Bryan Power. One in which do we continue to just fade Villanova? Looks like they have figured some things out, although just not a great shooting team, this St. John's team. But do you trust St. John's to handle it against the team that's struggling right now?
Look, this is kind of a hold your nose situation. Steve ran through the tempo stuff, which certainly caught my eye. You're not going to have many matchups with a wider disparity in tempo than this one. You look at Villanova, okay, they failed to cover 4 in a row. They did get a win last time, but against Georgetown, the drag of the Big East. But what's interesting with Nova's 4-game ATS losing streak, they were favored in all 4 games. As a matter of fact, they've been favored in almost every game this season. They've only been an underdog twice, against UConn and against Michigan State. They covered both times when getting points. And I talked at the top, maybe tip my hand for how I'm going to play all these games, buy low, sell high. It's not on my card, but I think if you do play it, you got to take the points with Villanova. St. John's probably in a letdown spot off the huge win in Stores against UConn. I mean, the win is a 14.5-point dog on the road against one of the top teams in the country. How are they going to come out next time? Probably a bit of a letdown. I will take the points here begrudgingly with Villanova sans Jay Wright and his exquisite suits that he always brought.
Oh, he does have some exquisite suits.
I'm sure he always had watered plants too.
Yeah, you're damn right he did. And a nice bottle of wine waiting for him in the coach's office here. Talk to me, Treg. What do you think? We've talked about Villanova. We love the pieces here, but there's still a couple of dudes out on the injury list. Justin Moore comes to mind. Would be great if he ever came back. You did like the freshman here. Can they put it together and beat the Johnnies?
Oh, I mean, they certainly can. Like, I'll start with this. If I just bet numbers, if I didn't factor all sorts of other things into my handicap and I just looked at numbers and made my bets off numbers, like Villanova would be my top play of the day. Like that would be, I mean, I almost fell out of my chair when I saw them +4. I thought that was ridiculous. Like I thought that was a number that was way too high because where I have St. John's and I haven't been high on Villanova, but I did this show. I did the college basketball show when these two teams played earlier this year. I talked about how horrible of a matchup it was for St. John's, and it turned into, I believe Villanova won that game 78-63. Actually, I just checked. I know that was the final score. So I don't think the matchup got any better for St. John's. Steve makes a good point. You start to I never like to back teams where you have a question about, their defensive intensity or if they're going to kind of buckle in on defense. That can be dangerous when you talk about going on the road. But the overall way that Villanova wants to play, and I still think that like they do that, even with their little losing streak, I still think for the most part, like they're a disciplined offensive team that doesn't turn the ball over. If they go to the line, they're going to make their free throws, number one in the country. So if you can get, and St. John's will foul. So St. John's will foul you, if especially if, you know, if it is a high intensity game and Villanova can, and they do bring that intensity tonight, St. John's will be happy to put you at the foul line, where Villanova will, you know, would thrive. That probably is their best path to victory. You know, I did say at the beginning of the season, I still believe this total transition year for Villanova. Thought it was ridiculous that there was talks that they might be a contender in this league, but now you've got, I think, for instance, like 4 straight non-covers. I feel like great buy spot on Villanova. I'm +4, and I expect a game here. And the final thing I'll say, St. John's is a team. They just beat UConn. They just did it in convincing and impressive fashion. And if there's ever a team that will go out and do that on one night and then look completely awful a couple nights later, like that's St. John's. That's what that St. John's team does. I don't think they're particularly well coached. So if their style takes over and Villanova can't guard it, we would have a loss. But if it doesn't, I think that Villanova +4 is a great bet.
All right, Nova +4 for Trig here tonight. Should be a good one there. One more in the Atlantic 10 we're going to talk about here. And quietly, it's getting real crowded up at the top of this conference. VCU taking on Richmond. Richmond laying 1.5. I think the total 131.5. VCU, a nice little win streak they got rolling here. And Richmond, I mean, they're 4-2 here in conference play. These two teams know each other. And I believe last year in the tourney, we had a little bit of a kind of a smackdown there with Richmond. I think they beat them by double digits, Merrill. This is in your backyard. What are you thinking here with VCU and Richmond tonight?
Yeah, Adam Trigger will be proud. These are two teams I've seen play in their home arenas over the years, less than an hour away from me, Richmond, Virginia. And Joe, you're right. It's a huge rivalry. And they played 3 times last year. Richmond won that game by 11 as a 3.5-point dog. And if you recall, they made that run all the way through that conference tournament to make the NCAAs. I actually went to the Richmond-William & Mary game last month. William & Mary upset them here in Williamsburg. Coach Dane Fisher was jumping up and down like he had just won the national championship because he's got 1 year left on his contract. He wants to get some wins, and that was a big win. But Richmond, really isn't as good this year, and they've been flying a little bit over the radar. I guess that's the term you would use. Just 11-8, VCU 14-5, and I don't think Virginia Commonwealth's going to miss the opportunity to smack their in-city rival, especially with that revenge motive. And I think it's a legitimate revenge motive after losing the conference tournament as a favorite, losing by double digits. And VCU in excellent current form. 4 straight wins and covers. And somebody that probably will be at this game tonight is our own mid-major Matt, sportsmemo.com. Matt is in Virginia, of course. And he mentioned on Wager Talk today, when he was on earlier this week on Tuesday, that was a really bad sandwich spot for VCU against UMass as a double-digit favorite on Tuesday night. They were coming off the upset win at Dayton as a 7-point dog. They had the look ahead here against Richmond, in-city rival. And what did Virginia Commonwealth go out and do in a sandwich spot? They won by 18 and covered. So won by 28 and covered. And that was a real, eye-opener for me that this team is clicking on all cylinders. So I'm not in a hurry to get in front of VCU tonight.
Feels like a game where the first 1 to 50 wins here, Brian. What do you think? It's two defenses that can get at one another. Who's got the better offense? Who do you trust, really? That's a tough place to play at the Robins Center.
Yeah, and, I guess just we're sticking with the consistency here, selling high, buying low. VCU, Steve mentioned the run, the 4 straight wins and covers. Going back even further, they've won 9 of 10. They've covered 6 of 8 with 1 push, so they've only failed to cover once. That was in a 9-point loss at Duquesne. I had Richmond earlier in the week, and they were covering most of the second half against Rhode Island, and then some wacky foul shooting got involved, and then they didn't cover. They missed the cover by 1 point. This is a good home team. Steve touched on it. They're a quality home team. They've only lost once at home all year, and they can defend 58.8 points per game allowed when they are at home. It's not often that you can get a price like this on them at home. We've seen some crazy movement. I think they were a dog early in the morning, and now what are they, -1, I believe, the last time I looked. So I actually like Richmond. It's not on my card, but I think it is a good spot to fade VCU on the road, a team that I believe is due to cool off.
Not buying low, selling high here, Trig. What are you thinking here, though? The road team, or you like Richmond here at home?
I agree with a lot of Bryan said, and I'll add a couple of things. So I considered VCU as a play. I believe it was a week ago today when they played Dayton. I think they were a 7.5-point dog. It just missed my card. And around halftime of that game, I was feeling pretty good about not betting that because I believe it was 33-19. Dayton looked very dominant. It looked like they were going to run, it wasn't ever going to be close. And somehow VCU not only came back to get within the number, they came back and won the game. And as I was watching, I mean, it was just the Dayton guards just threw that game away. There's really no other way to say it. I don't think Richmond is going to do that. They take better care of the ball. They have, better guards in that respect. And the other thing, in terms of VCU earlier in the week, UMass is a team that I've gotten to see play in person. It's essentially Frank Martin playing 11 guys. They make just mistake after mistake. He just keeps subbing dudes in and out. Like he is it's just a total rebuild there. And I think he's just trying to spread minutes around, figure out he's still trying to learn the team. So I'm gonna notch that down. Like that VCU running out UMass by 30 doesn't impress me as much as maybe it does some in the box score. So yeah, it's at Richmond. I've never been to either of these spots, but I do think I do know that Richmond tends to function extremely well at home. So I do lean toward the Richmond side here as well. I just think that it's a worse matchup for VCU than some of the matchups that they've had recently. And if Richmond executes, I think they end up winning this game.
All right, Richmond at home here, so should be a good one in the Atlantic 10. We got a little Big East action, Mountain West, little something for everyone here on the card today. So now we'll put it all together. It's not a tremendous card here, but there are some intriguing matchups, and let's figure out if there is a best bet here that these guys like a little more than the rest. So Bryan Power, kick us off here, man. Which game on the card here tonight did you circle for us?
Yeah, first off, just get a little promoting out of the way, since at the top of the program I had to defend my wife's poor plant behind me. We do have a 5% play currently up. Put it up yesterday for Customer Appreciation Day at WagerTalk. Hopefully you jumped on it then. If you didn't, I have good news for you because right now I've got my complete NFL card up, and for the 5% play is back up to its normal price of $35, but for just $4 more, that would be $39, I believe, if the math works out. You get that complete card, 3 plays. You'll have something to root for in every game, not just the 5% play, but I've got a teaser and a player prop to carry you throughout the weekend. Really excited about the card. As I mentioned on all the shows I was on yesterday, we have won 5 consecutive 5% plays going back to the end of 2022. The last 4 have covered wire to wire, the most recent being the Baltimore Ravens last Sunday, who I think should have won that game outright. Now, to the college hoops card, best bet. We're going to go deep in the weeds here, Joe, on the added board, the Northeast Conference. How about Wagner against Central Connecticut State? I don't know if we officially dropped the state yet. It seems, depending on where you go, they'll be either Central Connecticut or Central Connecticut State. I think they are going to be losers tonight, no matter what you want to call them. Wagner off a nice revenge win over Merrimack on the road. Now, before they did that, they failed to cover 8 straight line games, Joe. So why in the world would you want to lay points with this Wagner team? Well, Central Connecticut is very bad. They're like 320th in the Ken Pom ratings, and that's actually up from where they were earlier in the season. Last 2 games, Central Connecticut has lost scoring 49 points, and they lost giving up 88 points. So they lose when it's low scoring, they lose when it's high scoring, and they certainly lose when they're away from home. 1-10 this year. And when it's a true road game, they lose by an average of double digits. Wagner has lost its last 2 at home, so they should be pretty motivated. I think they smell blood in the water against a pretty crummy opponent. I say lay it with Wagner. That is the Wagner Seahawks out of the Northeast Conference.
Ooh, laying it with the Wagner Seahawks here tonight, playing Sisters of the Poor. Way to step out on a limb there. All right there, Merrill. Talk to us, 2Rs, 1L. What do you got rolling here tonight for a best bet?
Yeah, so on a 10-1 run this week, 3-0 sweep Wednesday, 3-0 sweep yesterday on Thursday, including a pair of college best bet winners. Not going to force anything tonight on Friday in college hoops. It's a very small card, but I do have an NBA best bet tonight and also 2 advanced NFL best bets for Saturday. So that 10-1, 91% winning run, including back-to-back 6-0 sweep the last 2 nights, continues tonight on Friday into Saturday. We'll look at a light lean in college basketball. This did not make the card, obviously. We're not going to jeopardize that 10-1 run by forcing something. But I do think there's a little bit of value with the over in one of the MAC Metro games, and that's in honor of Adam Trigger, who just returned home. He will not be at this game tonight, Marist St. Peter's, but I think there'll be more points than expected. And it's not going to take much to get over this total. Opened 121. We see it up to 122 in most spots, but some of the sharper books around the universe are 122.5 plus. So I do think there's some sharp money on the over in St. Peter's Marist. So I dug in a little sooner, a little deeper to look at this one. Not enough to be a play for me, but I do agree with that lean for a couple of reasons. First of all, St. Peter's, a 15 seed, made that monster run last year to the NCAA tournament. The reason they did so was not because of their offense, it was because of their defense. They actually were a very good defensive team last year. In fact, if you look at the KenPom rankings last season, St. Peter's finished 25th best defense in the country. Not the case this year. They've been much weaker on the defensive end. In fact, they are currently 221st, a 200-point drop in defensive efficiency. Marist, meanwhile, their opponent tonight is actually shooting the ball really well in recent games. They are scoring. This is a team that on the season shoots just 41%, but it's misleading. Now that they're in conference play, they're shooting a lot better. In fact, they've shot 53 and 55% the last 2 games against Canisius and Niagara on the road, and now they're back home. I look for some points tonight. St. Peter's and Marist over the total, over 122. Goes at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight on Friday. And don't forget, a strong NBA best bet for Friday night right now, 10-1, 91% this week, and it continues on Friday night and into Saturday. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
All right, there you go, guys. Opportunity here, short card, but still some opportunities here to cash some tickets. And Trig, you going Sienna, or are you going to keep us in suspense? Where are you going here tonight? I know you're laying it, man. Come on, where are you going?
So, yeah, let me get my promo out of the way as well. I'm on a 9-2 run, 3-0 on 5% plays this week. So that's been great. And I have a coupon code that gets you 3-day all access at a discount. It's Trigger3, TRIGGER3. Get you 3-day all access at a discount. I believe that believe that runs all weekend. So you can take advantage of that at any time. You'll get all the football, all the college hoop. I just posted a college basketball play before the show. I haven't had a chance to put the package up yet, but there is one up, and that'll be up for individual sales soon. So you might as well just get the 3 days and get everything all weekend for only a few dollars more. And that's coupon code Trigger3, again on a 9-2 run. As far as my best bet for the show is concerned, I really do think Villanova deserves a look here tonight, getting the 4 points. I know this isn't your Villanova team, the Jay Wright Villanova team. It's a new era. This is a transition year, and you can't just bank on them, the bounce back spot that I feel like you used to be able to bank on with the Villanova. But you also didn't really used to just catch 4 points, with Villanova in a spot like this. They're not playing Creighton tonight, right? Like, this is still St. John's. This is still in my opinion, a middling team in this conference. A team that can go out one night and look the way that they did against UConn and come out the next and lose to one of the lesser teams in the league. And it's also, in my opinion, a terrible matchup for St. John's. I said it was a terrible matchup for St. John's in the first meeting when we did this show. Villanova won by 15 and controlled the game throughout. And even with the Villanova issues that they've had on defense, I still think their ability to control the pace of this game, as well as the way they're disciplined on offense, they don't turn it over, and they will make St. John's pay if St. John's is fouling them They will go and hit every one of those free throws at the line, number 1 in the country in free throw shooting. Makes that 4 points really valuable. Again, I'm willing to play against St. John's coming off of a performance of the caliber that they played against UConn, one of their better performances of the year, because I don't think this is a terribly disciplined team or really a well-coached team. I think they're going to rely on that athleticism and the ability to just sort of run and play in that manner. But if Villanova can take them out of that, Villanova will be in this game in what's still kind of a desperate spot for Villanova, even coming off of the Georgetown win, because they didn't play particularly well in that game against Georgetown. So I think the points are the value here. It missed my card for a couple of reasons, but it's certainly one of the stronger looks on the college, on a shorter college board tonight. Villanova +4. You could do a lot worse, in my opinion. I like the Wildcats to stay within that number at MSG.
Love that. Yeah, love them in the first half too, because St. John's only likes to play one half of basketball, it appears. All right, guys, let's roll. I guess no play of the day with our friends over at the Gold Sheet on such a limited card, but we certainly encourage you guys to head over there and check them out. We went with Stanford last night, and I hate going against a good Beaver, but sorry, Oregon State, you are just absolutely trash. Stanford ran you out of the gym, which is what we thought was going to happen. And tonight, I kind of feel, listen, New Mexico is the play. The location, Mashburn and House, everything. If they are Boise State, the least bit affected by the pit, that crowd, and that home court, and they shoot anything less than the 42, 43% they're shooting from three, New Mexico's going to win this game, and I think they're going to win it convincingly, much like they did when they went on a road, took down St. Mary's and San Diego State. So I'm all over New Mexico here tonight to get it done. One more time, let's check it out here, guys, why Bryan Power went deep into the card here and pulled out Wagner, laying the 4.5 against the Sisters of the Poor, while Triggs like, listen, Nova going to make a run. It's going to be tonight against the Johnnies. He'll take the 4 points, no problem. In all likelihood, it'll be an outright win. While Merrill, Peters, Marist, yes, over 122. Feels like a real low number there. But going over in the points in that one, and I'm going to lay the 3 with New Mexico. I think they handle it and prove once again that they are the real deal here this year. And you heard the guys with that shameless self-promotion. If you head over to WagerTalk.com, you can visit all 3 of their pages, guys. They all got specials and best bets locked and loaded for the weekend. Not to mention, Triggs got that special deal right now on a great run. What is that code? One more time, Trig.
That's Trigger 3, and it gets you 3 days, all access. Any 5% plays I put out, any football plays. So pretty much covers all the NFL playoffs, which I'll start locking in probably as soon as the show is done. And all the college basketball I'll have this weekend. So a good deal at a discounted rate. Coupon code Trigger3.
Right. Now, I also wanted to mention, is there any special code for the dynamic duo? Can we get that one more time? Can we get that up? Yeah, let's see what we got here. Yeah. Yeah, we go. Yeah,
saving the world.
Very
saving
impressive.
the world.
Yep, very, very impressive. I like it.
One pick at a time.
Yes, look at that. One pick at a time. They're coming to a neighborhood near you. You should sell the house and move. All right, guys. We appreciate it. Hell of a week it has been. Certainly looking to make it a very profitable weekend. But on behalf of Merrill, 2 R's, 1 L, Steve Merrill, Bryan Power, and the other half of that dynamic duo there, Adam Trigger. We appreciate the time.
I think I actually own that shirt.
You owned nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That's his plan in the background on fire.
Yeah. It is. They're just setting it on a world on fire, guys. Best of luck, guys, with all your plays this weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Good luck.
Ready to take your favorite WagerTalk handicappers wherever you travel this football season? The WagerTalk TV app is now live for phones, tablets, smart TVs, and streaming platforms. Tune into your favorite shows like WagerTalk Today, Bet on It, and the Opening Line Report. Plus, browse through our extensive library of sports betting tips. Create your personal playlist of betting tip videos to help you prepare for the upcoming season, and set notifications to alert you when new content is added. Download the app for Apple, Android, Amazon, and Roku devices by searching for WagerTalk TV, or scan the QR code on your screen to join the winning conversation today.